I want to thank you for your sagacious presentation. And we really want to, honestly, I want to apologize for coming late because I would have loved to learn more. I miss my route and so many things. First and foremost, I want to corroborate your point on the fact that the fundamental problem of Nigeria has to do with mental attitude. I've always canvassed this anywhere I have opportunity of hearing out my mind. On many occasions, people have talked about, said, when our government is saying corruption is our problem, I said, of course, it's just a facade. The root cause is mental attitude. I said, why will somebody want to amass 28 billion naira in his coffer, which automatically, if he's spending 50,000 naira per day, 50 years, he will not be able to exhaust it. That 50,000 naira per day. So, I said, it has a lot to do with mental attitude. We need a reorientation. This is my reprogramming. We need to reconscientize ourselves. Now, my question one on this is, probably you might have talked about it, but how do we go about this? Understanding the fact that there is a charade of deception that is going on right now. There is the cloud is filled with so many confusion, and an attempt to come up with an idea in trying to solve this problem. You will see some people that want to say that won't really they have been programmed, just to use that word, to counter it in an attempt to see to it that it did not see the light of the day. How do we go about this? That's number one. Sorry, I have more than one. Secondly, the idea you raised, I'm sorry I may be cutting you out of context. By the time I came in, some of the things I got gave me an impression that you probably was trying to encourage us to support the move of the present president. That's why I may be cutting you out of context. When I came in,
is that true?
Okay, so because I heard you talking about the attitude of the first lady, and we should encourage more of it, and so I think you got where I'm coming from now.
Okay, I guess.
And so, and I think trying to separate the first lady from the president. Of course, I read a book that talks about the subtle approach at which Islam operates. You understand that there are two types of Islam, the Sunnis and the Shia.
There's more than that, but let's not go into that.
Okay. So, no, the reason why I'm saying is there's a point I'm trying to address. Some people, they believe in the violence, while some, they say they are people of peace. But the truth of the matter is, whether violent or proclaiming peace, they are the same. They have the same agenda as they believed in. Now, how do we mobilize the church to realize that some of these problems, because you said the church is still the solution. Of course, I have always said that the church is still the solution, because I believe that.
No, I agree with you, but because of time and other people who want to ask questions, let's quickly address those two so that other people can have. Let's put our hands together to appreciate what I said. Number one, I think the best thing that journalism in Nigeria needs to do is to go after the fact that there is a new type of war many countries have accepted. It is a state of war. What Uber did to transportation is what this new warhead is to conflict. We have been at war. We are not just going into war, but it's a new kind of war that can start like HIV. 15 years it has started warring against you, but you didn't even know. Just because he didn't shoot a gun, just because he didn't kill anybody. They had been operating in Plateau State, putting things into place about 15, 17 years, before the first gunshot was ever fired. So it is up to us to educate the country that we are already at war. When 9/11 happened in America, I had just had a meeting 10 days or so, a week and a half before 9/11. And I went there with an instruction from Mbang, who was then CAN president, that look, get Christians all over the world to work together. There's a global problem. We had meetings with evangelicals in the state of Georgia. They laughed. They said, maybe you people came for aid. We said, we didn't come for aid. You have the problem too. We too have the problem. Let's join hands all over the world to tackle this thing. They were laughing. 10 days later, when the first plane hit the tower in America, I was still in America then. I said, that's what I came to talk about. I watched the second plane hit the second tower in real time. My phone began to blow up after that. How did you know? I said, the telltale signs are already all over. This thing is a type of program. It's an evil program. It's a hydra. It's a shapeshifter. Anybody can be well trained to recognize it and to know the state where it is, because it has its own pattern too. So why would anybody go in denial? That's number one. So the point is this: 2 planes hit New York. Did America call it an attack against New York? What was on their banner? War against America. They struck them at the Pentagon, New York, and 1/3 one that was that failed. Now, why didn't they say, oh, we have a war in New York? Why was Nigeria saying there's a Northeast problem? Is it not because we couldn't diagnose? Now, the question I'm asking you is this: are there not sicknesses, health, that happens to Nigerians in high positions, that all the diagnostic materials in Nigeria cannot diagnose accurately that this is a sickness? So what do we do when that happens? What happens to the person? They fly to France, they fly to Germany, they go to Saudi Arabia to go and get the diagnostics, because they will have died if they stayed here. Now, if that can be happening in the health sector, what makes you think it's not happening now in the conflict sector? Now, let's go to the same thing, the second one. In the year 2000, when we began to have security meetings, and we went around this country warning stakeholders, the first recipient was the church, so we concentrated on the church. I'm one of the people who drew up the research of biblical lands and what we call the displacement sequence, and began to show them the interpretation of the Quran and the Hadiths that some people use to sponsor terrorism. But we limited it only to leaders because we knew that immature people cannot handle this. Now, why did we limit it to leaders? The average Muslim in Nigeria is not a terrorist. Please argue with me. Oh. Just like in Christianity, is it every Christian that is a serious Christian? What is the percentage of serious-minded, spirit-filled Christians in this country? Okay. That percentage is the same as the radical ones in Islam. The average person in Africa is led by their conscience. They go to mosque, they go to church, they do this. They don't read the fine print. Do you know why we shared only with leaders? A few years later, somebody just copied a lot of things that we had been sharing from year 2000 and converted it as a political thing and put it on a tape and circulated it. Immediately everybody was hearing. The Christians will now go and meet a Muslim. You think we don't know what is in your Quran? And began to teach Muslims the radical verses in the Quran. So at the end of the day, it was even the Christians that were helping to alienate a Muslim who had no plan to be radicalized. I found it shocking. Because the more I told somebody, I said, this is Africa. There's a lot of syncretism already, whether it's Islam or Christianity or anything. Now, you are the one now going to go and meet a Muslim and say, you people are murderers. They say, why are you saying that? According to Surah 9, verse 27, are you not saying smite above the neck? Blah, blah, blah. That one say, is it there? Then he goes home to go and read it. Then somebody who was not prone to radicalization before has been evangelized by a Christian to be radicalized. Now, why is the Southwest a problem? The Southwest ethos has separated works, Ishe from Etuesi. So if you call somebody from the Southwest and say, let us go and worship God by stamping our leg 10 times, you say 1, 2, 3, 4, he will join you. If you say, knock your head on the side of your head to the ground, he will join you. Give him a knife, say, cut somebody's head as an act of worship. What will he tell you? Why? He has been programmed based on the Omolabi ethos to recognize an act of worship separate from satanic works. So our people, whether they are Christians or Muslims, are very difficult to radicalize. Those are part of the things that the government needs to look at, study it, put it on a digital platform, and apply it across the country to slow down radicalization. I don't want to go into the details of radicalization, but there's that particular tape that somebody spread throughout Nigeria, which was a political tape actually, but it increased radicalization in Nigeria. You don't go sharing with people and say, look at this, what this is. Arguments that Islamic scholars are still arguing about. Then the Christian will now, because he has learned 10 verses in the Quran or 15 verses in the Quran, he will now go and persuade a Muslim that you are a radical. All of you are the same. It's a dangerous statement for us to make because that's not true. In the terror fields, many times it is Muslims who help us to rescue Christians, especially in the Southwest, which is also in the Southeast. There's predominantly Christian stronghold, but already we know the amount of infiltration that has been going on. That's why we tell everybody something. The solution to this is very simple. God in his office as creator is the leveler for all men. So when you read the book, when it gets to that time, we have not got to that time of solution yet. Where we are right now is sensitization. We are a nation at war. We have been at war. It's a new type of war. It's a special type of war. If after declaring that, and we get the entire nation to face the fact that we are at war, and we have defined the kind of war, if anybody from a general in the army, a colonel in the army, even to the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, now manifests patterns that fit that new kind of war, then with complete confidence, we can start moving. But based on guesswork, you have not even diagnosed something accurately. You say, try paludrin, try this one. Somebody say, no, palm oil. Just give the person palm oil. Somebody will bring idea. Say, no. Choose razor blade to cut the hand, let blood come. The suggestions will kill the patient. Next question, sir.